have just cleared my NCLEX RN exam. Yay! So I'm gonna put the picture here of my status, which is passed. And hello and assalamu alaikum. This is me, Rabia Nareen. And then I did my own process and I prepared the exam for my own self without help of any agency or any academy. So let's start our video. We will talk in this video about how you can do your process on your own, what is the expense of the process, what is the timing which is required, and how long, what kind of student need how long to prepare for the exam. And in the end, we will slightly touch what is the step after passing your NCLEX RN exam. Okay, so first starting with the first step is getting the I've done my process for New York, so I'm gonna talk about only New York, US NCLEX RN license and eligibility and all the stuff. If you are targeting any other state, that's up to you completely. There's one caveat in this: we can always transfer our license from New York to any other state. It required only $200. I'll discuss that in later section. How you can move your New York license to any state license in USA. Okay, so this portion I'll talk about. The first step in US RN, getting the US RN license is getting the US NYSED eligibility. What is eligibility? So basically, for sitting into the exam, you need to be eligible, you need to be able to have some kind of verifications before sitting the exams. So in eligibility of New York, we have 3 forms. Okay, Form 1, Form 2 and Form 3. Form 1 is basically of your all basic details. It's an online form, and the Form 2 is basically your college verification form, in which we send some documents to our college, and the college then send the internal transcript and then fills the Form 2 and then send it back to the New York. The third form is our license, nursing license of our own country. For example, I am living currently in Pakistan. So the third form is supposed to be filled by Pakistan Nursing Council, Pakistan Nursing and Midwifery Council. They fill the form and they send the verification to the New York that this student is valid and he or she has his license in our own country. Okay, so let's talk about the expense, the total expense which I spent and which you are supposedly gonna spend on this eligibility. The Form 1, which is the initial step, we need 2 certificates, child abuse and infection control. So the different course provider are there. The price range of these 2 courses can vary from $30 to $60 and can even up to $60. But I've selected SUFast and it cost me around $60 at that time. $60 for that particular courses. And once I did the courses, I attached the course certificates to the Form 1. In Form 1, basically it's a step-by-step tutorial of you will add your name, your father name, your address, your phone number, all the details, your BS marks, nursing, internship experience, and then you will attach the fees of 143 USD. Okay, so this total comes out to the expense of 143 of the Form 1 fees and $60 of the courses fee. So in total, if I convert it for the Pakistani people, most of my audience is from Pakistan, which is 56,000 rupees for Form 1, 56,000 rupees. Now comes the Form 2. In Form 2, the college verification is required, and this may vary from college to college, universities to university, and from private to government college as well. My college actually did not take any kind of money except 5,000 rupees for generating my internal transcript. So different college, I have heard that colleges take even 20,000 rupees for generating internal transcript, and then the amount to send those document is a separate 20,000 rupees, 15 to 20,000 rupees. So for Form 2, you might need to spend 30,000 rupees Pakistani. Okay, depending upon definitely your college, how much your college demand for completing the form and creating the internal transcript and sending it to NYSED in New York, couriering me it. So this was it. I used the Pakistan Post. It cost me around 1,700 rupees. But the drawback of Pakistan Post was it took so long. Like my documents took almost 4 months to reach New York. So that was very devastating because it seems like 4 months is a little time, but when you don't know, when you do not have the track of the documents, and you are going and checking on the website again and again that where have the document reached, have they reached or not. So that was very daunting. So I would never recommend Pakistan Post to anyone. I would highly recommend the private services which most people are using, which is DHL, and yes, they cost more as compared to Pakistan Post, like they post like 10x 20x, but their service is faster. Okay, so it took 20,000 rupees for form 2. Okay, that's it. So the form 3. Form 3 is not mandatory, okay, so it is not required. But if you have license, it's good to send it to. I have sent it to because I had my license at that time. So there's also good news for the interns. So as form 3 is not mandatory, so you can always send your, you can have your eligibility of New York while doing your internship. So this is a plus point, okay. So the form 3, it took my only 10 to 15,000 rupees because I need to send some documents to Islamabad, wherever your nursing council is, and then I have attached the form 3. Basically, each form has form 2 and form 3 has two sections, section 1 and section 2. Section 1 is supposed to be filled by the student. Oh my God. Energy crisis, so I'm living in Pakistan. I'm gonna change my position. There are two sections, section 1 and 2. Section 1 is supposed to be filled by the student, and section 2 is to be supposed by the body, which is form 2 is supposed to be filled by college, and form 3 is supposed to be filled by the nursing license regulatory body. There's one more caveat: if you are having a diploma nurse, so it is highly recommended to send both. From where you did your diploma and from where you did your generic post-RN BSN. Okay, so you are supposed to send both of the documents. I've heard that by sending only one document is also enough. So this is like only sending the diploma nursing is also enough. So this is something I'm not pretty sure because I've done generic nursing. I do not have experience in this diploma nursing, so I might not be the right person to discuss that. So in short, I'm gonna discuss the expense. So the total expense for getting the eligibility is $143, $60, 10,000 rupees Pakistani, 20,000 rupees Pakistani, and then that's it, which is like 60, 70, 80, 90,000 rupees, which is like more like 300 USD in American dollar. Okay, so once your document, so I'm going to discuss the time. So it takes normally, the private services say that we can ship your documents in like 15 to 30 days. They claim that if your document is not lost, is not there's not any problem, if a smooth process is there, 15 to 30 days is enough. And once it has reached the NYSED, it takes around 30 to 60 days to send their reply that you are eligible or you are not eligible. So I'm going to add some more discussion into this topic, which is what I did. I actually opened the ticket for the Pakistan Post, the courier service also, and the NYSED service also, because the Pakistan Post service was not giving me the track of my documents and I was very worried. So that's why I opened the ticket and talked to the customer support multiple times in this 4 months. And I also opened the ticket with NYSED once my documents was reached. So they said that your documents are in review, we are looking into your documents, we'll let you know once you are eligible or not. It will take some time. So they also said me that we have sent your documents to an education board which they were having in New York. So they were discussing like that something. So they did their own check that this student is eligible, she or he is having a higher degree, it's not bogus or anything else. So this was my whole eligibility thing. So now one thing I want to discuss, the eligibility is for lifetime. If you got your eligibility, you can it's for lifetime. You can anytime book your ATT and give the NCLEX RN exam. But definitely we are doing this for working there, so definitely we're gonna apply for ATT. So the next step is ATT. ATT key is basically authorization to test key. Authorization to test key is basically a number in which we tell to the New York board that, hey, we are ready to schedule our exam, so kindly give us a ATT key, a number. So every state has its own duration. So eligibility was lifetime, but ATT is not lifetime. It has a specific time. For example, ATT for New York is 6 months. I've heard that there are some states which are having 4 months, 3 months, even 2 months. I'm not sure which kind of state, I don't remember the name, but this is I've heard, which my fellow friends and colleagues are giving the exam, that different states have different eligibility ATT key time. So which I'm doing the New York process, so my eligibility was for my ATT key was valid for 6 months. So this means I have to attempt the NCLEX RN exam in this 6 month period. So they gave me the 6 month window that you are eligible to go examine that. So what was the expense for ATT? It took me 200 USD to get an ATT. It took me 200 USD, yeah. So 200 USD is like 56,000 rupees Pakistani. I'm considering that the dollar rate is 280 rupees per dollar. So, okay, the dollar rate varies, so the price may also vary. And also there are additional taxes which will count at the end of the whole video. So that you get the ATT within 48 hours. So it's like, and I got mine very soon. I remember that I applied, I paid the money for the ATT, and after some time, within a day, I got the ATT key, which was very surprising to me because I was not expecting it to be so soon. So once you got the ATT, now you need to book the exam. Now you need to look for your other priorities and your other things in life, and then you need to select a date. One thing I really need to add, because here in Pakistan there are not many centers. There's only one center, which is Pearson U in Lahore. So the time when I was about to book the exam, the first 2 months of the whole dates were almost booked. There was no even date. And then I had very little days in like third month, and then like this, and even in like it was very random. Like you did not have that much options. So don't think that if you have 6 months you can book it any day, any month, any week. No, you need to make sure that your country has that number of options that you can get your desired date. So I get my desired date, which was after like 4 months. So yeah, so this is for booking the exam. So yeah, and the payment for booking the exam, the expense required was 150 USD. 150 USD is Pakistani almost 42,000 rupees. Okay. So this is so I spent 1,84,000 rupees, 1,84,000, almost. If I add taxes in there, it was almost like 2 lakh rupees Pakistani expense. And one can get this whole procedure done in like 3 months, within 3 months, I think so, because the documents will reach in like 15 days, and then you will get your eligibility in 30 days, 30 to 40 days, and then you will apply your ATT, and then you book your exam. So it seems very smooth, but yes, there can be problems. Okay, then the next step is the preparation. Many people have asked me about preparation, how you have done it and how they should do it. Okay, so first I'll discuss my preparation style. So if you go to my channel, I was involved in this NCLEX RN thing from like 2024 January. Okay, so it's not I'm very new to this thing, but I will admit this, that although I got admitted into different academies, 2 academies in 2024 and in 2025, but that is very very clear that I did not study at that time, because I was doing my job, I was busy in so many other things, and I took the classes for like 2 weeks or 1 week in different 2 academies, and then I left it. I did not continue the classes. So I actually did not study it at that time. So, and even after booking the exam, I was very non-serious actually, and then I got busy in my things. I had Saunders book with me, and I take my book with me all the time. And it looks like I'm studying, but I was not actually studying. I was just looking like I was studying. So what I see now, when I actually started studying, was when I bought the Q-Banks. I bought first I bought UWorld, because it was the most expensive one, and I think so and people admired it a lot, and it was very famous. So I just randomly bought this UWorld. And then I started doing MCQs. Initially I was doing like 30-40 MCQs, and then I geared up, and then I leveled up to like 100 MCQs. My percentile score was a 68% in UWorld. I gave some CAT exam. It initially closed on 80, 85, 84. So I was very happy with that. And then I did that SAT exams, and the scores were good. It was high probability, and one has like high and one has like borderline, I think so. So this was something like that. But then I already mentioned this so many times, but then my confidence break badly when my friend failed in the exam, and she was a very good student. So I was very sad that if she couldn't pass, what the hell am I? Most probably I will also fail. So my morale was very down. And then another colleague, class fellows of mine passed. So I discussed with him, and he told me to purchase the boot camp and start preparation from there, give the readiness assessment test. So I immediately bought boot camp and started doing. Let me check if the video is recording or not. So yeah, I was on preparation. So I bought the bootcamp and I did there, and I got first borderline, then low, and then high, and then very high. This was my readiness assessment test. Okay, so what do I recommend now? So many students and interns especially ask from me that from where should we study, and I think so this is very important topic, because I myself was very worried that did I select the right Q bank, am I on right track, will I pass, will I not pass. So I was very confused at that time. I remember I was so nervous, I couldn't even do MCQs. When I was doing tutored MCQs, I think I say maybe I should do untutored one, and when I started doing that, I thought maybe I should do CAT assessment. So that was very confusing time. So now what I recommend to students is that if there is a study gap, for example, you have done your BSN generic nursing 3, 4, 5 years ago, or your diploma nursing like very ages ago. So I think so then you should first revise your topic for once. You should have your Saunders or any book which you think is for a revision for your whole nursing syllabus. I think so that is required. But I did my BSN generic last year in 2024 September. So my knowledge was fresh, and then I got admitted into the masters. So that's why I think so my knowledge was pretty fresh. I think so it really didn't need to be dusted properly, and more, and so I tried listening to the academies and the lectures. So basically there's one more thing. There are basically, let's start again, the preparation thing. So there are 5 things you can prepare for your NCLEX RN exam. Number 1, by revising by the Saunders book. I think so I need fan because it's so hot in here. Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I recently passed my NCLEX exam. Yay! So I'm gonna put the status of my passing the exam. I'm from Pakistan. Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I recently passed my NCLEX RN exam, and I'm from Pakistan. So I'm gonna tell you how you can prepare for your NCLEX exam, and I'm gonna also share my story how I have done my NCLEX exam. First, I'll discuss my own preparation. So I did. My journey starts in 2024 January. So basically, past 2 years, I got admitted into different academies. I took the classes for like 2 weeks somehow, and then I left both of these academy one by one. Okay, so at that time I was not very serious with the studies. I was serious with the NCLEX, but I was not studying actually. So once my eligibility was there and I got my ATT, and then I booked my exam. Even after booking the exam, I got serious somehow. I started reading Saunders, but I was not, I would say, studying the whole time. I was not very serious at that time. So I actually started my study when I bought the Q bank. Actually, Even after buying QBank UWorld, I did not study for like first 20 days, 15 to 20 days. And then I did only 5 to 10 MCQs per day. I was, chilling here and there. I was studying and doing my other things. I started my preparation 40 days ago, and in 40 days, I complete my preparation. I completed the whole thing, which I'm gonna tell you. So I bought the UWorld because there were so many positive review about it, and I'm gonna discuss and take some time to discuss UWorld app. So basically, UWorld is a question bank. First, I would say that a QBank is must. QBank is must for preparation, no matter what. And the second thing is Saunders. It is optional. We'll discuss who is supposed to be studying Saunders and who is not. But the QBank is compulsory. The first one, which I took, was UWorld. I would say the rationale was so good. Like if I attempted an MCQs, the rationale was so detailed. It was having further links. For example, if I was doing some MCQs and it had like 4 more concepts related to it, it has links to those concepts in that same rationale. I could go to the links and then I could study the rationale at that time, the time I was reading the rationale. So that was very helpful. For example, if I started with the cardiovascular system. So for example, if the MCQs has 4 options, and then each option touched a different concept, so the rationale has explanation to all of those concepts, which is very helping, I think so. Then there were videos. I did not find UWorld videos helpful. It was actually not helpful for me. I'm not sure about how you would find it, but I could not watch videos for like 1 or 2 videos because the videos were very lengthy and it was very broad. I did not really find it helpful. And then after doing some MCQs, my percentile score was 68 percentile in UWorld, which was, I think so, they were saying that you are going good. Like it was, there was a green signal from UWorld. And then something happened, my friend couldn't pass the NCLEX and I was so nervous, and I actually lost my all confidence because of that friend. That if she couldn't pass, she was like so, a good student, so how am I supposed to pass? And after some days, I drifted apart from studies and I was very confused that I'm gonna fail. It was like 15 to 20 days before my exam. Then my another friend who passed the exam, and he told me that buy bootcamp and do your readiness assessment test from there. So I immediately bought the bootcamp as well, and I did the assessment test. In first test it said me borderline, and then it said me low, I think so, and then it said me very high and then high. These were my 4 scores in the readiness assessment test. Then I started doing the bootcamp MCQs as well meanwhile. So did I completed the whole QBanks, both of these? No. I completed almost 70% MCQs from UWorld. There are total 3,000 MCQs in UWorld. So I completed 70% MCQs, 68% MCQs, 70%. And then I had bootcamp, it had more like 2,000, 1,800, 1,900 questions. I attempted like 40% MCQ. I think so I'm going to attach the screenshot so you can also see my scores and my questions attempted. So this was my journey. So what I'm gonna recommend to you guys, if you have a study gap, if you have a real like 3-4 year study gap, or if your study gap is not that big, but you're not having a grip on the concepts, basic concepts. So I think so, for example, metabolic acidosis and fluid and electrolytes and hyponatremia and all this concept. If you have totally forgotten, I think so that at that particular scenario you might need to revise your syllabus. So I think so for that student, Saunders might be required. So that is optional definitely, because Saunders is very vast. The Saunders NCLEX RN book is very vast. It has so many concepts, which is, I think so, it's not possible to retain and memorize all those steps in that short period of time. Yes, if you're gonna study the Saunders during your BSN, that is a separate case. But if you think that you're gonna, you're gonna absorb all the Saunders in like 2-3 months, I don't think so that's possible. At least not for me. So that's the case. And secondly, Saunders did not help me to understand how to, what is the strategy to attempt the question. That is very important, that you will get the help from the QBanks. The QBanks will, and I also will give credit to the UWorld, because UWorld's rationale was very comprehensive in the way that they explained why this rationale is not, why this option is not correct, why this is correct, and why this and this and this, and why so. So I think so that was very helpful. And NCLEX is all about the strategy, because they are looking for a safe nudge. They do not want a very smart and the one who memorize all the MCQs and all the calculations. It's not like that. I can also I don't remember that they were asking any kind of values from me, like what is the potassium value. Yes, you should know the most important and the most basic value, which you most probably would already have know by working in the department and by studying your BSN. It's not that the very unimportant values you are supposed to remember, because they'll tell the values in the question, that for example this potassium is 3.5 to 5, this is the normal range, and now the patient's potassium level is 2. So this is some kind of exam. Yes, there were MCQs in which the range was not mentioned, but that values were very obvious, like the pH of the blood or the potassium or the sodium. We all memorized it very pretty well. So I think so you should memorize all the values, but eventually you need QBanks for your practice. Mostly you need to know how I'll save the patient, which patient is most important, which patient I'm going to go to first, and what is safe and what is not. Mostly these are the questions. And then the preparation, we were talking about preparation. And yes, some people also get help from academies. There are a lot of academies in Pakistan. Basically these are online lectures, and they come and they discuss. For example, there's a topic of cardiovascular disease, and they will discuss stroke, let's say. So they'll in the class they will discuss all the topics and the subtopics and the types of questions. I also took those classes online as well from GATE Academy. And I think so that's very helpful for those students who do not have motivation, who cannot study on their own, who need a guide, who need a mentor. I could not take those classes because I thought maybe the 1 hour I'm spending in taking the class, I might be able to attempt 40 questions in that particular time and to study the rational, and that would be more helpful for me. So you're gonna look out for yourself. I was just talking with my friend, and she was saying, where did you have that motivation and you kept on studying? So I think so the first step in preparing for your NCLEX exam is book the exam. Book the exam. This is the most important advice. If your exam date is not booked, you will never be serious, at least not in my case. I think so booking the exam is first, and then purchasing the QBanks. It is very important. I have seen students who just do the PDF of these QBanks, which are basically pirated and screenshotted version of the MCQs. I think so that's not helpful, because what is helpful is you attempt that question in that particular time, and then you see the ration and you see what was supposed to be marked and what you have marked, and what is the difference. There is a difference. One more problem which I did was that I selected a particular topic, for example cardiovascular, and then I started doing its MCQs, and I did almost 80% of the MCQs by subject chapter wise, which I think so was not a helpful strategy. Once I shifted from mixing the subject, for example, I mixed the electrolyte and fluid, and then cardiovascular, neurovascular, and all the mixing. After mixing the subjects, it was very hard for me to guess, because I was practicing single chapter, so I knew that all 4 options must be from the cardiovascular one, and that was making the things easier for me. And when I mixed it as an actual NCLEX RN exam, things got more difficult. So I think so you should do by mixing the subjects, okay? And then one more advice, which is tutored or untutored. Most people, when I was about to attempt the exam, I was very nervous, and I actually thought maybe tutored question was helping me, because if I was doing untutored question, basically untutored question is that you will attempt your given set of questions, which is 40, 60 or 20, whatever you have selected, and then in the end you will get the answer or rationals. So the problem with me was that if I was start doing untutored question, and in the end they will give me the score, but when I'll read the rationale, I forgot the actual reason why I selected a particular question in the first place. Now I know what is the right answer, but I couldn't recall that why I selected another answer. So that was very disturbing for me, and that's why I started doing tutored one. So and I actually commented on so many videos that tutored is better than untutored, and maximum of the YouTubers, the one who passed the NCLEX RN exam, they told me that untutored should be done. But in my case, I think so tutored questions were helpful. And time, okay, the time is at the start. In the start, I was not taking time seriously. Like I was doing MCQs and I was chilling and talking with my mother and doing my other stuff, and I was really not focusing on the time, which is very important. When I was attempting my NCLEX RN exam, I was so much nervous about the time. Even though you have plenty of time, 5 hours, but at the same time, I remember that I calculated the time and the MCQs for like 10 to 20 times in the first hour, because I was so nervous. I was calculating, okay, I've done 10 MCQs in this much minute, so I have this much minute for this much question, and that was so stressing. And I think so that was the reason that I couldn't finish my exam soon, because I was so nervous about the time, and I was just making sure that I do the MCQs quickly. Even I was not even thinking twice. I was just reading the statement, I was just reading the options, and then I was selecting and going to the next step. So this is something I think so you should. And then my friend who just passed the exam told me to do the timed question. Set a limit for like 3 minute or 2 minute initially, and then do the MCQs. And I did the time, which was I think so helpful for me as well. So yeah, this is it for preparing. So if I gonna summarize this, book your exam. हाँ जी, नहीं चाय पीनी, नहीं पीनी. अच्छा. So the first thing is that you book your exam. The second thing is you purchase your QBank. The third thing is you read, you practice maximum of the questions. Maximum of the question, the tutored one, the untutored one, the CAT one, the readiness assessment test, and then you read the rationale and cheat sheets. In boot camp, there was cheat sheet, and that was very helpful. I think so. The cheat sheets was very helpful. My friends told me that it is helpful, and I couldn't memorize and study all, but I actually studied the important ones. So I think so that might be helpful for you as well. So yeah, this is it. Now I'm gonna discuss the exam day. So for the exam day, actually the passport is must. I was not having my ID at that time, but passport is a must, so you might take your passport with you. So I took there was initial checking. Attendant was not allowed. The student was supposed to go alone. There was basically a 2-3 rooms office, and then there were some examiners, and then there were computers and the whole headset, and the environment was nice. It was cozy. They were not disturbing us. Like they were like relaxed environment, I would say. But one thing which we have 2 breaks, 2 scheduled breaks and 1 unscheduled break. I actually discussed this with my fellow, but he couldn't explain to me very well. But when I was appearing in exam, I got to know that when I was doing exam, I thought maybe after 40 MCQs they'll give you break. But I was doing 41 MCQs, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and I was so tired that why this exam is not giving me a break. So I asked the examiner that I need a break now. So he said, do you need unscheduled break? I said yes. So he immediately stopped the computer, and he did his security check, and all the it was actually uncomfortable to getting checked again for the break, and to go out and drink water and eat a snack or so, chocolate, whatsoever you brought with yourself, and then you get back, and then again the security check, and then they open your laptop, whole start. And when I did 1 MCQ, they said now it's time for your break. So I already took the unscheduled break. So definitely I was not going to take that scheduled break, and the time was counted, or the break time was counted in that 5 hours. So then I started doing. So overall, I think so the NCLEX exam was way more broad as compared to the QBanks. QBanks were limited in a sense that not all the topics were discussed. like I remember I had very different varied questions which I've never seen in the cubing. So yeah, that's it for now. I think so. Yeah, and I'm gonna need fans. Let me know if you have any question. Go to my page, YouTube channel and ask me question if you have any.